What is up guys, Andy Forest Team Runner here, and today I'm bringing you guys my first impressions of the Altra Olympus 4. So there we go, 8.5 miles covered, over 1,800 foot of elevation, done and dusted for the first run in the Altra Olympus 4. Today we're going to be covering my first impressions of the shoe, giving you all the technical information and then giving you my feedback on how this thing performed. But as always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you stick around because we're going to be doing further testing in this shoe over the next few weeks. We'll be doing a terrain test and a long run test, and then when we get there eventually, I'll be giving you guys a 100-mile update on this shoe. So if you're excited for today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and we'll start with the technical. So just before we jump into the technical, I've got to state this shoe was sent to me for the purpose of review. However, nobody is paying me to say anything about this shoe. No one's paying me to even make the video. It's been sent to me for the purpose of testing. And as always, I'll be giving you guys my honest, unbiased opinions on this thing. Stay tuned for the end of this video to find out how we found this shoe out on the first run. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's jump into the technical side of it. Now, for those of you who are new to ultra running shoes, they are zero drop shoes. So this shoe has no difference in stack height in the heel to the forefoot. This falls into the maximal cushion category. So we have 33 millimeter stack height in the heel and 33 millimeter stack height in the forefoot. In a UK size 13, which I am, and I did indeed go true to size, we're looking at a 406 grams or 14.3 ounces. So as always, we'll start with the heel counter area. We'll work to the ankle collar, the tongue, the lacing, the upper, the midsole, and the outsole. So let's start with this heel counter area and talk a little bit about this ankle collar. So we have a very firm heel counter, which is great for the support that you're going to need if you're out on the trails for a long period of time. End of the day, this is a max cushion shoe. You want comfort levels through the roof. You want to be out there, if you're doing long trail stints, you're going to be out there for hours on end. You want something that's not going to be flimsy, it's just going to be giving you that support that you need. So that's perfect there, and we've got a little bit of exposed midsole that runs up the back of the shoe, just again, which provides a little bit more rigidity in and around this heel counter area from what I can see. And the plushness levels of this ankle collar section are lovely. Really, really nice, proper cushioned with one of my kids' hairs in there. Really, really cushioned in and around here. And it works really nicely. Slip my foot in, the comfort levels were through the roof. So the combination of the firm ankle collar area and this cushion here meant that my foot was locked in really, really nicely. We've got a little bit of extra material up here around the Achilles area, but no Achilles rubbing for me, so that was great. So in this whole section, as a starter, it was 10 out of 10, absolutely lovely. We've got a gaiter attachment here, so you can pull that down and attach a gaiter if you need it. And of course, we've got a pull tab here to help you get your shoe off and on. Moving on to the tongue. We have this amazing, and I really, really like when companies are doing this. I think the Peg 37 did this as well. We have a cutout here, and what this does is it allows the tongue to wrap around the top of your ankle really, really nicely. So it provides a much more natural feel when the tongue sits over your foot. Again, we have a paper thin section at the top, but about a centimetre down, we move into some nice cushioning. which means this top section here, about this much here, gives you lovely protection and comfort for when you're cinching those laces down over the top of your foot. So on the whole, again, really, really good. Moving on to the laces, which we'll talk about at the end, because I feel that's an area where there could be a little bit of improvement, in my opinion. We've got, again, a very bog standard eyelet chain here, nothing fancy going on. We've got a couple of extra overlays here, just, I guess, to help with the lockdown, help cinch it a little bit tighter. The laces are interesting. They're grippy and they're gritty. I think are the best two words I can use to describe them. So when you pull them, you can feel a little bit of friction, and it's as if the laces have been designed to really, when you get them in place, they're going to hold really well. Sadly, it wasn't the case. I think I'm going to have to work on that moving forwards, but we'll cover that shortly. On the whole though, the eyelet chain itself is perfect. Like, I got a really nice lockdown feel when they were cinched nice and tight. Now this is my first experience in an Ultra running shoe, so to check out this foot shape here, this is obviously very unique for Ultra, and my word, I can see why people rave about this. My toes just went like that, and it was lovely. Like, your toes are not crammed into a toe box. It makes you realise when you're running in a narrower shoe and your toes are really kind of crammed together, this type of shoe makes you realise actually how bad that is for you when you're able to splay your toes as nicely as you can. Again, with a max cushion shoe, wanting to be out there for a long period of time and your feet being able to have be in a much more natural position, it's really, really comfortable. So on the whole, again, this is really, really great. Engineered mesh upper with a little bit of support here and there with some supportive overlays. We've got a bit of a toe guard thing going on here, very, very firm there. Obviously kicking rocks, going over terrain like that, you need to be very careful, so that is brilliant. Got a welded overlay over the top here, which kind of blends in with some of this midsole, and again around there a little bit of an overlay there. So all in all, very breathable. I did find it breathable, although I was only out there for 8.5 hours, so I will report back on the breathability after the long run test. Over the first 8.5 miles in decent temperatures, it felt really, really good, and my foot did indeed stay nice and cool. And I was wearing some thick trail socks, so all good there. Moving on to the midsole, we have an EVA midsole which runs full length of the shoe, and as I said, it does indeed come up the back of the shoe a little bit here. We also have some exposed midsole which runs through this section here on the outsole. We'll talk about that very shortly, but again, comfort levels really, really nice. A soft landing in this shoe, so this isn't firm by any means. This is nice and soft and nice and cushioned. Again, exactly what you expect from a max cushion shoe. I really, really enjoyed the comfort levels in this thing. It was absolutely, it was out of this world. It was really, really comfortable. So again, so far, so good. And we'll move on to the Vibram, don't know how you say it, Mega Grip outsole, which runs the majority of this section here and then down the sides here, leaving some exposed midsole there. What I liked about this outsole is it gave me the confidence that the Torrents don't give me. So the Torrent 2s are a great kind of all-round trail shoe that you can kind of use in the majority of conditions, but when it gets muddy and a little bit dicey, it's going to be no better for you than a road shoe. This gave me a heck of a lot more confidence, and I did feel a heck of a lot more grip to the trails in this thing. And I did go through some muddy sections, and of course I did a couple of miles on the concrete in the beginning. And obviously that's not what this shoe is for, but it held up really well. Like I didn't feel like I was running awkwardly or anything like that. So it was great. What I would say, and something that's really interesting, and I had to do a little bit of research on this, so I did find this in one of the interviews that was done with one of the CEOs of Ultra themselves. And these lugs work independently, and as soon as they said it, I thought, yes, I felt that. So if you land on a rock here, if you land on a rock here, then it's only these lugs that are going to be affected. You're going to feel a little lump under your foot, but your ankle itself, when you land, isn't going to rock or turn based on the fact that you land awkwardly. Those lugs are going to take the impact of those rocks, it will absorb in, and the foot will almost kind of like mold around it, and you'll be able to keep running without any discomfort whatsoever. And again, I was running on some relatively rocky terrain, down some rocky steep paths. Absolutely brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic. So again, grip wise, this thing was phenomenal, and I think that's it for the technical. Okay, so finally, on to the first impressions. How did I find this shoe on the first run. Well, I did indeed really enjoy it. There's a couple of points that I need to make that I feel that you should know, and from there I don't want those to detract from the fact that this was a super comfortable ride and the fact that I cannot wait to take this out further. But let's just talk about those couple of points first. Number one, if you're a larger shoe size, this is heavy. This is a really heavy shoe. Over 14 ounces. For, what did I say it was? 406 grams, 14.3 ounces. So there's a lot of shoe here. And as you can see, it's very wide, it's very stable. Like the stability on this shoe, even though it's not a stability shoe, it is super wide base. It gives you a bit of stability. And what I did indeed forget to mention is there is a little bit of stability here in the medial side to help stop that ankle rolling in. So I'd almost put it in the New Balance Fuel Cell Prism category, where it's very mild. There's just features of this shoe that aid stability, but it's not a full stability shoe, if that makes sense. The wide base, similar to some of the Hokas that I've run in, I love it because it does give you that assurance, especially when you're flying down trails. You don't want something that's going to make your ankle rock here, there and everywhere. You just don't get that in the shoe, or I didn't get it in the shoe. But as I said, if you're on the larger shoe size, it is heavy. It falls into the category that the Nike React Miler did. The difference between those two shoes, and as you know, I did not like that shoe, but the difference between those two shoes is the Nike React Miler, yes, it's a road shoe, but that was all midsole. The reason that was so heavy is just the midsole was so flipping heavy, it's horrible. The reason this is heavy is just because there's a lot of shoe. There's a lot going on with this shoe. So it doesn't feel imbalanced in any way. It doesn't feel like it's wrong for being the weight that it is. And it is a max cushion shoe, so you do expect it to be on the heavier side. But just be wary, if you're looking for something a little bit lighter and nimble, this might not be the ultra shoe that you want to look at. It might be something that you want to dive into the ultra range and look at another shoe in the rotation. So there's that point. And the second point is the laces. I had to stop twice, nearly 3 times, but I just sucked it up and got on with the last mile or two on the way home. I did have to stop 2 times to re-cinch the laces completely. They really did loosen up, and they loosened up to the point where it became unrunnable on the downhill. So as I was flying downhill, because I am trying to practice my downhills, they really did work loose. I still felt stable, I still felt secure, but by the bottom of the hill, I knew I couldn't go back up now without re-cinching it. Now I have a feeling it's due to the type of material these laces are. As I said, they're gritty and grippy is the best way I can describe it. When you pull them together, you can feel friction as if it's trying to lock into place, but it just didn't work for me. Now I did cinch down from the bottom all the way up to the top from the offset, so I didn't leave it to chance because I knew this was a wide toe box, so I thought I've really got to work it, and I did. And as I said, it did indeed come undone 2 times, and on the 3rd time I just waited till I got home. So that's again another point to note. I might, if it happens again, relace the shoe with some different laces and just see if that sorts the problem, because it could just be the laces, in which case it's a really nominal thing that just does not need to be worried about. But it's just something that I wanted to say because, as I said, I am honest. I want to give you my honest opinion. That did indeed happen on that run. Other than that, despite the weight and the laces, this thing is absolutely brilliant, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, it was one of the most pleasurable rides I've had in a shoe this year. The comfort levels are through the roof, and if I was going out on an easy day trail run, I wouldn't gravitate towards this thing over the Torrent. The Torrent is something that I am loving and giving a really high praise, really high reviews, because it is so light, nimble, and it's fantastic. But if you want comfort, I would genuinely look no further at the moment between those two shoes than this thing. So I'll be gravitating towards this thing a lot more on those easier days, on those easier trails, and getting some more miles up into them. I am going to be doing a technical terrain test, although I have covered a lot of it already, so I'm trying not to talk about the types of terrain that I ran on it already, but I will be doing some more and going over this shoe with more detail. And then eventually, not this weekend, but probably next weekend, when I've got some more shorter runs in it, doing a long run and doing that full review video of the terrain test and the long run test. So I'm super excited what this future holds for this shoe, my rotation. I pretty much guarantee we're going to get to 100 miles in this thing. It's going to be great. It's going to be epic. So yeah, it's a great shoe. Really good. Despite those 2 points, I'm loving it. So let me know in the comments below if you've ever run in the Altra Olympus range. I'd love to know what your previous experience is with these Olympus shoes, because I have never run in an Olympus shoe. I've never run in an Ultra. This is my first one. So I'd love to hear if you've run in this one and a previous version, and what your thoughts are on the upgrade, because I've obviously only come in at the point where this is 4. So I don't know what the 3.5 is like, or the 3, or the ones below it. Let me know in the comments below. It'll be great. And also, I'm really keen to try more Ultra shoes now, so let me know in the comments below what your favourite Ultra running shoe is, and I will certainly have a look into that as well. So that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Until then,